I wanted to bring you here today. One, this hits close to home.
Yeah.
And it's really brought like LA to its knees. And so like seeing it in person is very different than seeing it on the news. This is the
heart and soul.
most viral photo was of this grid that you can see online.
To see the neighborhood like this, right? Kind of dreamy neighborhood that resembled a small town in middle of America, right? In heart of Los Angeles, right? You're in LA, but this little town, Pacific Palisades, really feels like a small town. It really did. The way it's isolated, very, very close-knit community. And this was one of the very popular areas and kind of an entry-level house. If you wanted to move to Palisades, this is the house you would get for, probably $4.5 million. Okay. So show me your girlfriend's house.
This is it on the right. So this one. Obviously, her bedroom was right above this. That's the garage. This was the foyer, and then she was upstairs. Right there, but obviously like this stucco, there's a lot of nails, so be careful. We've already walked through and like we found a Leica camera that from her great grandfather, like an old metal Leica, and it's obviously doesn't work, but I mean I was like, maybe you want this as a memory. It's a sad memory, but still. And then they found a few things. The safe, so like number one, like fireproof safe is super important. Thank God they had that, but obviously everything else is just gone. I guess the question is, the big question, like from your perspective and being an expert in this, what could we do in the future to prevent this? Is it just simply different building materials? What's
there's so many things we can do to do it, and I don't know if it's going to be done. Okay, because right now the big drive is going to be, let's get people back into their home, right? Rightfully so. Okay, let's make it easy for them to rebuild. Let's bring them back. Let's rebuild Palisades, all in good faith, in good energy, for good reasons, for the people who really need that support, right? But at the same time, if we're going to build the same exact structures with the same setbacks next to each other, okay?
It could happen again.
It could happen again, right? So there needs to be, if we want to stop this, right? And fires like this could happen, every 50 years or 100 years, okay? So when you look that bad, you could say, like, screw that, like, we don't have to deal with it right now. It's going to be someone else's problem. But if we truly want to stop it, then your setbacks, your water system, each house should technically have its own water reserve in case of smoke detectors. When you feel, or there's an emergency button that you press, that when you press it, water sprinklers go off on the roof. They get the house wet, they protect it.
I saw a house survive that had water, and people were putting sprinkler, like regular, Walmart sprinkler,
that works.
And it was helping.
That works.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that would have saved all of the houses, right? Because the fire that we got hit with, the combination of the wind were so strong that it was ridiculous. But I think site setbacks, building materials, vegetations between on the property lines or close to the building, right? Can catch fire and transfer the fire to the building. Building material and fire safety systems, right? And making sure our reservoirs are full for the fire season.
The water, I don't claim to know all the details, but the reservoir was empty.
Going into the fire season, we should have had the reservoir full. The reservoir had a problem with, I guess, it needed a cover where people were things were falling into it, or maybe people even falling into it. It was a safety hazard. So there's an issue with it that they had a drain. But you got to prioritize the risks, right? At least you should have had it full for the fire season. Then you could have drained it. You could have fixed it for the next season. That should have been done. That was a complete error as far as error of judgment and decision making on behalf of whoever who was in charge, or department that was in charge of that, right? As for Palisades, it's gonna come back, okay? This is one of the most desired neighborhoods in LA.
It really is. It's an amazing neighborhood.
It's perhaps the most desired neighborhood, actually. It's not just a desired neighborhood. I would rate it as the most desired because you're right next to the ocean. right? You're on the ocean on one side. You had a village, small feeling, vibe, and energy that almost no other neighborhood could have matched. You had great schools. You had just the idyllic LA life, right? Without the traffic, without the hustle and bustle of the town. But the sad news is going to take a lot of time. It's not going to be the same Palisades. It's going to be changed, because you got to think about the people who lost their homes, right?
Yeah.
Big chunk of them were retirees, okay?
Yeah.
And they're evaluating it right now. Are they going to build it, or are they going to sell it?
Because this is going to take like 3 years to rebuild, probably.
I think in 5 years, Palisades going to look 50% full. Okay, in 7 years, it's going to look 75% full. In 10 years, will be full recovery. That's my guesstimate.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's a lot of decisions happening right now with people who live here, right? Elderly, they're looking at how many more years I'm going to live. How many more years do I want to be in construction?
Yeah.
And once it's done, time is ticking for a lot of them. Unfortunately, towards the end of their life, they have to think, what's the best way to spend their last years? Right. Is it better to spend 3 years negotiating and working with contractors, or just sell it, buy something else with it, and live the rest of your life, 10 years you have, peacefully, whatever, right? Then there's the middle bracket. The middle bracket, you got people with fat kids.
Yeah.
Schools is a huge factor for them, okay? Their life are completely disrupted right now. They're doing crazy drive from one neighborhood to another neighborhood to drop off the kids school. So I think the school decision for the kids is going to dictate that. Okay, where are we going to do if we decide to rebuild in 3 years, and the house becomes ready in 3 years? Then in which school district, or is my kid going to be in elementary or high school? Where do I want to be? When is the school going to be rebuilt, right?
Yeah.
So those decisions are very, very important. Then you have the overall encompassing decision that Palisades not going to be the same once it's all done, okay? There's going to be people who just literally have left, okay?
Yeah.
Have left. They're done with it. There are other reasons behind it too, but they've just left. Some have. From what I hear, a lot of people have moved to Manhattan Beach. That's been like the #1 destination. Then you have it across Santa Monica, Brentwood, Bel Air. Those are the top 5 areas that I hear. Also a little bit of Venice. But then when you're fast forwarding life, you're trying to think what would happen. Is like, okay, it would take me 3 years to build. When I finish, I'm going to come out, the neighborhood is not going to look the same.
No.
It's going to be probably 70-60% empty still, right? Do I want to live in that neighborhood?
Yeah.
Right? It's not the same Palisades anymore, right? So 3 years to build, and then when you move in, you have another 5-6 years.
It's a constant reminder of this is going to be, that's why
5-6 years of living right next to
moved.
Yep.
They've already bought a house, thankfully.
Yeah.
They had insurance.
Yeah.
That, you've heard the horror stories, some people getting their insurance, State Farm cutting them. So thankfully they had insurance.
Yeah.
And they went ahead and bought quickly because they're older, and they don't want to go through the 5 to 10 year hell that is this, and I don't blame them.
Do they want to sell the lot?
Huh? I don't know.
I
don't know what their plan is doing, and then
but those are all the calculations, right? Like, okay, it's going to take me 3 years to rebuild it.
Yep.
Then it's going to look like from 3, 5, 7 years after that, it's just going to be under construction. It's not going to be the same vibe that you had before, right? And then where are my kids in that time? Where they're going to go to school at? And then you look at, okay, some developers are going to come in, okay? Maybe developers are building, but then for developers, it's also a risky proposition because they're going to build simultaneously, and it's going to flood the market with new construction over here, right? So everything's going to be available. So if you have 40, 50 homes coming on the market, and they have not yet sold, okay, there's been very few transactions. I believe 1 sold, 1 in escrow. But you're looking at the prices, they don't even reflect that a fire has happened here. It's very, very high, right? So it's not really penciling in for developers. As to, developers are in it to make a profit. And when you consider the risk factors that they need to consider, the fact that they need to deal with all the environmental aspects of it,
Right.
construction costs, really high interest rates, construction mortgages, right? Construction rate loans. It's really, and then at the exit point, they're gonna have a lot of competition. So let's look at it as a developer's perspective, right? Property prices that are, the empty lots that are coming on the market right now,
Yeah.
they're still like priced as if nothing has happened,
Right.
right? And I see much bigger discounts happening for the actives on the market in this neighborhood because it doesn't pencil for developers, right? I don't think the finished product will be worth as much as it would have been before the fires if they would. There's a new
So you think
construction.
that the value of these properties finished, rebuilt, will be less than they were because
If you snap your finger right now, 100%.
yeah,
See, it depends of how the neighborhood is going to look like when that property comes on the market, what the interest rates will be at that point, right? And how many other brand new constructions are going to be in the market. So supply,
Yep.
right? How many developers have flipped homes? If you see 500 new constructions hit the market at the same time, at a time where interest rates are still 7-8%,
Yeah.
and half of the neighborhood still looks like a war zone,
yeah,
that's not good,
yeah,
right? It's like other neighborhoods don't have that problem.
right,
So unfortunately, we're going to see a price adjustment,
yeah,
right? Or fortunately for people who want to buy, very unfortunate for people who lost their homes, like your girlfriend's parents, right?
yeah,
The prices have to adjust to take into effect the risks associated to rebuilding.
right, yeah. It's just sad. There's no like quick answer to. It's going to take a while to rebuild, and it's really changed things. I just hope that LA can be prepared for this in the future, like another 50-year fire.